Hello everybody, welcome to Telli Talks, where we talk about life, growth, relationships, and all things in between. I have a very special guest with me here today. He is a board-certified plastic surgeon, Dr. Randall Hayworth. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, thank you. I'm very honored. And
cheers.
Chin chin.
Chin chin.
You have a busy day. I hope this is water now.
Yes. Water, 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 water. So I can keep talking.
To keep those vocal cords lubricated.
Absolutely. So for the people that haven't seen you, that haven't been a patient to you, tell us about your journey and how you got to where you are today.
Oh, I'll keep it brief. Well, my parents are immigrants. My dad was born in Colombia, and from English, well, one English parent and the other one, his mother was full-blown Colombian, and half of our family are still down there. And then my mother's German-Dutch, sort of like Dutch refugees after the war.
Oh, wow.
They came, met in LA after the war in the 50s, and then I was born here. My mother at the tender age of 40, which doing some sleuth work, it's like, you know, in 1961, if you're getting married, you don't wait, I'm going to wait a few more years till the time is ripe to have a kid. You know, they have a kid right away, especially if you're like 36 and married. So I think it was a glorious or inglorious accident. And so then I was there born in St. Francis Hospital in Inglewood.
Oh, wow.
Because people say, oh, English. And I lived in Huntington Park and what, with all due respect, but our bodies have armpits and we have feet and we have, but it was the armpit of LA, Cudahy. So embrace it, okay? So I was born there, and then my parents, in 1969, I remember right after the lunar landing with Armstrong, my dad, he was crazy, decided to pack up me, I'm the only kid, in a car and drive all the way to South America in an old 4-cylinder Pontiac, and it broke down, etc. And Selena Cruz, and we were pushing, my mom and I were pushing the car while my dad was steering in Guatemala during Mama Son. Fast forward, cargo ship to England, and then they matriculate me into the oldest school in the world, which according to Guinness Book of Records, the King's School Canterbury. The oldest school fully functioning since 542 AD, St. Augustine.
542 AD.
So some of us, mom went there, Harvey, who discovered the circulation of the blood. So I was confirmed by the Archbishop of Canterbury because I think I would be ingratiated with the better graces. But I was always the outsider, being the American Yankee. And until I punched the ringleader of all that, and then I finally earned some respect among the limeys. But then I had a full-fledged English accent by the time I came back. And so...
When did you come back?
79. So it was there from about 1970 to 79 in England.
9 years.
And we had wing collars and so on and so forth, and and so, you know, being in a boarding school and put away from your parents, I sort of felt a little bit betrayed by that. You know, It's not like I could speak with kids or, you know, brothers or sisters, and I wanted to be an artist, and I was very good at art. I think I was better than the art teacher too. That's what they were saying. And but my parents said, "Nope, you're going to be a doctor." They want a doctor in the family.
And there was no doctors in the family?
None. And, you know, they came from relatively humble beginnings. And I remember I was in Santa Cruz at the beginning, and I did what my parents wanted, biology and chemistry, biology with honors. But I was also in a band that actually became fairly... The members then became fairly famous. They did Camper Van Beethoven and then Cracker, and they had a number of MTV hits. And I was like the singer and so on before that.
Oh, wow.
But I called it Because of Christ. That was the name of our band. ... Sedilla, Because of Christ, with little words. Now they have like, they've copied it now because now it's Fear of God. They've got clothing and all this, but
they have a lot of those.
In 1980, because of Christ.
Because of Christ.
And it was sort of a cool band, but then that was it. Some people remember it, actually. And so our bassist, Melanie went on to form was a drummer for Cowboy Junkies. And Information Society was our synthesizer player, was that. And then I was sort of going into med school. And
so you were a musician before med school?
Well, I wanted to be a musician. I was I would hum the tunes, and then the guy who was playing the guitar said, I want it like this and this and that. And I was more the performer. But I didn't really know what I wanted, but my parents said, we'll disown you. And never having a job, that was like a big thing, unless you do what we say. So I eventually got into med school, took 2 tries in USC, and worked in the coroner's office before, which I liked. I sort of had a penchant for like the dark side of humanity. My last day was when Marvin Gaye came in, and he was shot by his father.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, not as a patient, obviously, but as a dead person. And I sewed up Dennis Wilson, so those are my claim to fame there. And I did all the drawings on which they still annotate the injuries.
Oh, wow.
And that was the busiest coroner's office, on Zonal Avenue. And I happened to be watching a show on TBS. Sam Little, he's the most prolific serial killer in the United States. And my dad, who was living with me, I moved him in after my mom died. And he's passed away, bless his soul. But I said, Dad, he liked documentaries. I said, Dad, he said, those are my drawings. So here we're talking about a serial killer. And I said, those are my drawings. And I went to my class where I keep my old. I said, this is the original. He's 93. So, ooh, very interesting.
Right.
So
how did you transition, though, from the coroners to plastic surgery?
Well, I said to myself, the only way I can be a doctor. I remember seeing a show in England at the age of 13, and it was this crazy guy called Kurt Wagner. He was a plastic surgeon, and people a long time who've been in L.A. knew him, and he was a crazy plastic surgeon. And he was on a documentary on the BBC. And at that time, it was when roller disco was big, and he would have the people, in his office. Everybody was learning to roller skate in the office. I'm not kidding. And they go to patients'
office.
In the clinic.
Oh,
and
wow.
he was wearing Mickey Mouse hats. And to this day, he was like the Liberace of plastic surgery. And not that I was impressed by the guy, but I said, it's whatever it is at my unformed mind at 13. It was sort of, if I'm a doctor, I could sort of see myself somehow fitting in that.
Right.
And I always liked painting and drawing, but so I eventually got into med school, and I wanted to impress them because my dad, they were very sort of cold, not against them. They loved me for who I was, but they didn't.
They were strict.
Very strict, and they didn't show love. Like normally it's like, oh, I do something, and like a dog, you would like to, good.
Right. You want to be acknowledged for the things that you've done and appreciated for the things that you've accomplished.
Yes. And no matter what I did, and so I said, I'm just going to up the ante. And I said, I'm just going to go and try to be the best I can. And I became a maniac in med school. And I got AOA, which is the top honor society. And I'd show my dad just to get
that reaction.
And he was like, oh, okay. My mother would get a little bit more, but I don't know why. My dad was not very artistic. We had this sort of love-hate. And, so that's what motivated me. And I became my own heaven and hell in here and my own disciplinarian. And I sort of formulated where I was going to go. And my parents were in Europe again and back and forth, and they had some rental property here and there. They still had rental property in Huntington Park. And I appreciate the fact that they saved all their money they could and put me through medical school. And at that time, we thought, it's so expensive. It was like $55,000 for 4 years. And they saved they lived, even to this day. I said, I bought Haagen-Dazs for them when they were still living in Europe. They lived in the middle of nowhere in France, and people say, "Oh, France!" But you don't understand where they live in France. When we first went there, there was no electricity. No, there was electricity, but no hot water, and we'd be having cold showers and so on. And I got Haagen-Dazs for my dad, and that because they like. And I'd come back several months later, and they wouldn't eat that Haagen-Dazs. And I said, that's what it's for. And it gets ruined after a while.
Right, right.
It gets that ice crystals.
Right.
And I said...
Frostbite.
Yeah, frostbite. And they still eat the crappy little Cora, which is the equivalent of Safeway ice cream. And it's like they felt they were very much war babies. Mm-hmm. So there was this weird juxtaposition where we had family still in Holland and in England and in South America, and I was this crazy person that was saying, I'm going to be a plastic surgeon, and now I'm on this. So I got top honors, and then I got into general surgery and Cornell, had a bad marriage, crazy actress. And then I would never talk like this 10 years, 15 years ago, but now it's like there's a point where I don't give a crap.
I feel like life is about just letting go, letting go and letting loose and just, living life to how you want to live life. I feel like a lot of people, including, especially children that have parents that they want to impress, I feel like all children, when they're raised, their goal, or they would want to, majority of them, not all of them, want to make sure that they live up to their parents' standards, I guess you could say, right? That's just, it's human nature, because that's what we're taught. Do as your parents tell you to do. I
wonder if it's instinctual too. Like we're dogs and puppies, they want to make
their person happy.
Yes, and then what makes it go wrong?
Right. Or or potentially too, like, am I not doing the right thing to make you happy, even though you're telling me this is the right thing?
Yes.
Like as for you, for example, your parents wanted you to go to medical school because they wanted you to become a doctor, but within yourself, you didn't want that. But you more so wanted you in yourself to impress your parents. Yes. That's what you were longing for. So you did something that you didn't necessarily want to do to impress them, and didn't even get that like, I guess, that fulfillment of impressing your parents.
I think I'm most jealous, if I am jealous, it's like one of the mortal sins, right? But of people that had the courage and maybe the naivety to say early on, no, I'm doing my own thing, being the artist. And they are free-floating. Yes. And people will call them maybe stupid, but those ones that have made it well, those are our inspirations.
And are genuinely happy.
And happy.
In life. So now that you're a surgeon, years later, did you end up enjoying surgery, or did you go to the point of like, I graduated medical school and now I get to choose my choice of where I want to practice, of my specialty in being a doctor?
It did. Money doesn't buy you happiness, but money buys you freedom. So the analogy to this is after general surgery at Cornell and then plastic surgery at UCLA. And it was like, and I had credit cards, and I started off the best building in Beverly Hills in a kitchen. Okay, but it was in the best building with a pocket door. And
this is after med school?
After med school, then general surgery training, full at Cornell in Manhattan, and then plastic surgery at UCLA. So it's a long, circuitous route, very buzz-killing. Not an artist, like, I'm going to paint and all this. Right. This is like, now I'm a plastic surgeon. But then it gives you sort of freedom. Mm-hmm. So I've had art shows where I've gone to painting and people like that. Maybe it's because it's a gimmick, or plastic surgeon painting or something. So answering your question, it does give you a certain freedom, because people recognize you and view you through a different lens than just another artist. and you have certain more freedom because of the money and so on. But at the same time, too, people think of plastic surgery as being very glamorous. Okay, for obvious reasons, you just, they're subjects of movies. Yes, it's beauty. And it's considered artistic, and you see it on in the media, nip tuck, and all of these. But behind it all, it's a grueling business, and it's cutthroat. And people remember, one of my old mentors, he said, plastic surgery is surgical psychiatry. And one of my employees that have been here a long time says, "Scott, she's a nurse practitioner, but she was always saying, your patients are crazy." And I said, well, welcome to the club. It's like, you can't be complaining if you're working in a psychiatry or a psychiatrist and saying, my patients are all crazy, I can't take.
Right.
Well, that is, our vanity, our obsession, compulsion, whatever drives it. The bottom line is they're still here in the office, and you have to make them happy. And the point is, they come to me because I feel that I do a very good job, and I've got a great eye at blending things. I call myself a hyper-aesthetic surgeon. But the point is, I tell her, you view people, I use this analogy. People are like musical instruments, the personalities. And some of them they're not all easy to play.
Right.
So some of them are pianos, some of them are guitars, some of them are drums. The hardest ones probably are thereminds, that musical instrument that was all in the air. Yeah. It's like, you don't have any yardsticks do I put my hand here or there? Right. Those are the hardest people to understand. But sometimes the hardest musical instruments are the most grateful when you invest and you understand them, and they just have to be played a certain way, just like they'd have to play me too. And I said, name goes unmentioned, but I said, you view everybody as a tambourine. And not everybody's a tambourine.
Right.
So that's it. So it's a difficult business. It's rewarding, but it's very much, you may have heard of this, Freud used to say, there's the superego and the id. The id gives you that immediate gratification. And that's what the Western world, this commercial society is. You want this instant gratification. You get your dopamine or serotonin rush, or whatever it is, and those are those id. And we're learned to get that. We don't learn. Whereas the superego, it's all about working hard, fighting, and you get that burning, slow satisfaction of creating something pretty much, I would imagine, like with a child, with your child is, and it's this, it's much part of you, but then 10 years, 15 years later, your child's a separate person. It's a person who's accomplished, and you get this sort of like, wow, you look at them objectively. And so it's that tremendous, plastic surgery is more, the satisfaction is all superego. Using Freud's terms, it's delayed gratification. It's not like, oh, you're the Picasso of plastic surgery. And it's like, actually, that's not what I want with two eyes on the same side of the face. You have to comport to dictates of taste.
Right.
Well, beautiful proportions. You can tweak it a little bit, like certain models. What I call is beauty is strategic imperfection. Like, you'll have certain girls where their eyes are wider, or their lip is super short and provocative, and it teases you and pushes you. So it's not like a wallflower where it doesn't have any sexuality to the face.
Right. 110% understand. So when you have patients that come in, right, and they see more of what they want as opposed to what you see in your eyes, because everyone perceives beauty differently.
Indeed.
Right? So if someone comes in, like let's say I come in and I'm like, hey, I feel my eyes are too far apart, or I need a upper blepharoplasty, or whatever that might be, that, oh, maybe I feel like my face is drooping down, or I need a lift or whatever. Do you give a patient that comes in what they want, or do you kind of like suggest things that you might think would help better their appearance, in a sense of compromising what they want but doing what is best for their appearance?
I think the operative word is what you said, compromising. Because there's a difference between being artistic and aesthetic.
Yes.
And artistic, you can be a great artist, but you may have horrible taste.
Right. That's why I said beauty is different in everyone's eyes, because I might want to look like I'm pulled, and you might not think that's the best feature for me to have.
And your signature's on that.
Right. And then
if that person lives in in the Antarctica, and they say, oh, I never go out and I live in an igloo, then you may say, okay, because I'll never see that. Because you have to realize that, like a Mercedes, you produce a Mercedes, the Mercedes, when you're driving and you're behind a sexy Bugatti or whatever, you know, that advertises itself.
Right.
Agreed. I want that. And it's self-marketing. It's so if you've got something horrible on there, and then somebody says, I love what Dr. Hayworth did for me, it's like, oh, God, where do I, where's the exit? Right. So and there are a few people, especially now with social media, where it really distorts. Yes. And with the filters, it distorts normalcy. My phrase too, or I haven't trademarked it yet, but fake is the new real. Mm. And so
110%.
100%, yeah. And so the most fake people are the actors sometimes that say, oh, I can't do Botox, I have to keep my expression. But what are you playing? Oh, I'm playing this high-end lawyer who's got a Maserati or a thing in New York City. What year? Oh, it's current day. And I said, so, and you're wearing Prada, and you're that, but you want your wrinkles? I said, that is so fake.
Yeah. It doesn't look like what you would look like
you
if you were
to look fake, and that's
lawyer.
Real.
Right.
That's 2023. So, I don't know. So, these people, when they come in, you do a beautiful nose. I've got some people, and I said, oh, really great. It's great without makeup, too. And then you see them on their Instagram feed, and they can't help but themselves, but they even put the filter. They look like this weird alien with this nose that's long and thin. And it's like, I used to say, oh, I was very proud. I can't even show their, it's like I don't want them to know that I'm related to them. Oh, thanks at Dr. Hayworth. And the Instagram is like, please don't put that.
Yeah, you can't repost it. That's not my work. Yeah. Right. So how do you kind of like divert from, I guess, the new norm of, filters and people adding on to what you feel you'd perfected in people's faces?
Well, I think the important thing, and people wonder why my consultations take a long time, and it's because it's about managing that boring thing, expectations. So, I say to them in a consultation, I'm just your waiter. I'm not your chef. I'm here to give you menu items, aesthetic menu items that I think apply to, let's say, an analogy like, Telli, you don't need anything. But let's say, yeah,
I'm just like,
she's a paradigm of beauty.
Thank you.
And considering it's a fifth, you're working like crazy. You make it, you handle it with aplomb, effortlessly.
Thank you. In my head, it's like,
I know. You made me nervous with what you had to do afterwards with all these, this is the beginning of the day and it's already 8 o'clock to go to San Diego and all that crap. But anyway, so what it is that expectations. So I'm just your waiter. I'm only your chef if I think I can make you happy because I'm listening to you, trying to get in your head.
Right.
Number two, I want to make sure that, of course, you're a candidate aesthetically and medically. You can't have heart disease. But despite that, I'm only a chef if it makes sense for you
Right.
to move forward.
Absolutely.
And I'm shortchanging, in a way, myself. I'm sabotaging myself if I can do a beautiful job, but if the patient's unhappy and missed your expectations, we do our best.
Right.
Some people fall through the cracks and so on and so forth. But by aligning the expectation, taking a little bit longer and learning what bothers them and so on and so forth. And as long as we see eye to eye, and I can get in their head,
Yeah.
and they do come to me pre-selected because I don't get patients from Yelp. Mm-hmm. Patients won't come to me because of Yelp, because Yelp is a grand cabal. But the point is, patients come to me. I'm a destination surgeon. I'm known for all lip reshaping. I've been doing it longer than anybody now, probably in the whole in the world. Upper lip lifts, medialized corner lip lifts, and all of that. I've invented all that stuff and give talks all the time about it. So people come to me, but so they're sort of already pre-selected, but in a way they're pre-crazy too, because
And lips are like insanely popular right now.
And they're insanely difficult if you can do them right, because they're a surgery of 1/4 of a millimeter. I tell them it takes 45 minutes for me to mark you the night before. So I mark them the night before the surgery, because it's like packing for a big, long trip the morning of, and you have to be at the airport too. It's like you do it the night before. So I mark them, and then I have to wear a travel pill so I don't smear the makeup. And then, of course, the markings. And then in the morning, I mark it over, reinforce the ghosting. So it's very difficult. But these patients, I have to manage the expectations of what they want, because even though some fall through the cracks, you can do the best job in the world, but if you have an unhappy patient, then that's just, it not only sabotages the patient, but it sabotages me.
Absolutely.
Because who wants to have an angry patient?
Right. Walking around with something they don't want.
And then again, you get people that try to also say, I've done fat transfer and all this, and we did, and then they said, well, crap happens. Plastic surgery, it's a weird field in which we make healthy people temporarily unwell in order to make them look better. So,
and for the people that don't understand, plastic surgery, and correct me if I'm wrong, you have to generally be healthy because it's a cosmetic surgery.
Yes.
A majority of the time, insurance doesn't take care of it because it's cosmetic.
Indeed.
Unless it's reconstructive.
Yes, or with gender reassignment.
So how
they pay big time now. Insurance used to pay pretty decent for everything, but those days are gone. People say, insurance is, I've got good insurance. Oh, what is it? Oh, PPO. That doesn't mean anything.
I have a question. Okay. You're not married, right?
Divorced twice.
You're divorced twice, but you're not married currently.
No.
Okay. So if someone was to come up to you, let's just say, or someone was to date you, I've always wondered this about surgeons, especially plastic surgeons, how is it being in a relationship with someone and they know that you're a plastic surgeon? Are they overanalyzing themselves to the point where it's almost like, oh, I'm with a plastic surgeon. Let me make sure my eyes are straight. Let me make sure my nose is symmetrical. Let me make sure my lip is even top and bottom, or maybe I want my bottom lip a little bit bigger. Does it get to a point of you don't want to take what you do at home, at work at home?
Yes.
Because I'm sure
it makes me.
naturally.
I'm dating this one girl, and we're very much in love, and we've been together for 2 years. But sometimes it's like time to stop. Like eating too much pizza, or how about this now? And I'm saying, it's like you'd think that I would be the critical person. Right. But what's ironic is that, again, I go back, beauty is strategic imperfection. I've been attracted to women because I'm a male cis male, whatever they call it, and so, but you can have the most beautiful person, but you're not sexually attracted to somebody, right? It's more of their soul, their how they carry themselves, their intelligence,
right?
The character. They can't be ugly looking,
right?
But
I mean, you're not. I say this all the time. You're not going to go up to someone and be like, "Hey, you're ugly. I want to talk to you." Yeah. Like, it's just not humanly in our minds to approach someone we're not physically attracted to.
But physical attraction isn't necessarily following the lines of strict beauty standards.
And I feel like physical attraction only goes so far. When you start to engage with a person, when you start to get to know a person, you understand your wants or your likes and your needs as opposed to just what they look like. There could be someone, like you said, that's physically attractive but have no brains, or there could be someone that's physically attractive and might not be interested in the things that you're interested in.
Yeah, that gets very boring after a while, and you get immune to the looks after a while. Because if they're a horrible person inside, that ugliness, it's like my second wife, beautiful woman, but she, again, an actress, stupid me. I have a bad picker, but I think I have a good one now, hopefully. But she, it's just, I have nothing positive to say about, beautiful woman. Yes, on the like shiny surface here, but it doesn't tell me anything about the inside.
Right.
So I think it takes a bit of maturity and so on and so forth, and confidence within your own self.
Absolutely.
To say, I'm not attracted to that. When I was younger, 20 years older, that you'd say, beautiful girl, I have to be attracted, but you wonder why you're not necessarily attracted. That's okay.
Right. And attraction comes in different ways and forms. That like it starts off, I feel like, naturally physical attraction, because again, you don't meet someone that you're like, oh, I want to spend more time with this person that I'm not attracted to,
of course,
physically. But as time progresses, that soul, like you said, comes out, that character comes out, that mental comes out, to the point is like, okay, is this person someone I can have an intellectual conversation with? Is this someone that I can go scuba diving with, or whatever it is that you enjoy, that you like to do, or play the guitar with, whatever that enjoyment might be. And I just feel like that just goes back to what it is that you're interested in as a person, because some people are okay with just physical attraction, like, oh, this is my trophy, this is what I want to present and take out, and blah, blah, blah. But like you said, it gets old.
But then you look at those guys, they may be successful, super successful, but like this guy I know, more money than God, but how did he make his money? Like providing phone service in prisons.
Oh, wow.
Okay, that's it. How's it? But lots, and the taste is very, it's very more, I don't know, but certain people, as you were saying, they can have trophy wives and it's check, 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 and they get turned on by just like a physical attribute, but there's not a there's no depth substance and an attraction. And true attraction is like, if you really love somebody and you want to choose to embrace them, and you love them more, and it's not, they can't be ugly. It's like a car. As you're saying, people are like cars. You want to be attracted to the car first. If it's like a box, it's like, well, it drives really well. Yeah.
Right. 110%.
Yeah. 110%. You want it economic. You want it to make sense. You want to be a reliable car. You want to be comfortable.
You want to check more than one box.
Yes.
Okay.
But some people are just, they want, no matter what it is, they want that beauty, because they don't think it's more of a reflection of them.
Absolutely. There you go. It's a reflection. Who you're with is a reflection of you in the end of the day. 110%. Couldn't agree more. Okay, so for everyone that comes on the show, we play a game of Would You Rather. I play with you so you're not in the hot seat by yourself. So we're going to ask, would you do, on this card, or would you do what's on that card? I'm going to play with you. It's called Rock and a Hard Place. We're going to randomly pick cards. I'll go first so you could see how it's played.
Those are nice nails, by the way.
Thank you. Very artsy. Right?
Very artsy, yeah.
Okay. Rules of the game.
Okay.
You can't remix your answer. You can give an explanation.
What does that mean? You can't remix your answer.
That means you can't change the answer to what you want the question to be. Or you can't change the question to what you want it to be.
Okay.
Any type of like
It has to be
remixing
literal.
it. Exactly.
Okay.
And you can give your explanation, but you have to answer.
Okay.
Okay, I'll go first. Would you rather be the best in the world at something nobody cares about, or well above average at something people really care about?
The latter. I
Well
always
above
say
average.
above average. Because you can make a living on that too. I'm being practical. I'm being like a parent.
Oh, I'm taking well above average.
Yeah. And you know
Agreed.
something I always say, if you're an artist and you're stuck on a desert island, and there's no one will ever come by, would you really paint still? If no one's ever going to see, because it's communication, painting, art, would you do that so you could be the best in the world, best on that island, because that's your world. No one's ever going to come, but nobody cares about it.
But do you feel like there's certain things that are like self-fulfilling? Like, for example, if I personally, maybe painting for me could be therapeutic, and it's something that I might not want anyone to see because it helps me internally, as opposed to like, I want people to see my work.
But
Like
maybe it's because
therapeutic.
But maybe it's because there is a sort of a spirituality there that even if, now that I'm thinking about, let's say you're on an island and you are painting, let's say you find yourself painting on a rock, you're doing it maybe because they say in the future, just in case somebody does come.
To find it.
And you're having a dialogue with yourself when you're painting, and it's therapeutic and so on, but it's complicated.
Like for me, my therapy for me is like cleaning. I enjoy cleaning. Like, I mean like OCD cleaning. Like not like stacking coins, like pennies, nickels, dimes.
Okay.
That type of cleaning, right? But I don't want people to, and people see it because my pantry is organized. Everything has a place. The butter is up here. The condiments are here. The medicine's here. Like everything has a place. It's very, very organized. And it could be a little bit too much for some people. But I personally might not want everyone to see that. But I enjoy it.
Okay. I could see that because I like clean, and there's nothing better. It starts to get me anxiety when stuff's piling off.
Same.
And it's not like, and I don't have anywhere near the parties. It's like very rare now where I'm trying to impress somebody, but I feel clean. Do you make your bed?
I make my bed as soon as I wake up before I brush my teeth.
I do.
Why? Because I feel like if my bed is not made, my day is going to look like what my bed looks like.
Exactly.
I don't
and
know
I've been
what it
with
is
people where they say,
mentally.
why are you doing it when you're going to sleep in the...
I don't care.
I
I
don't
have
care.
20 pillows on my bed. Every day I put them. The black pillow goes, the sleeping pillow goes, the other fluffy pillow goes. It has an order. Every time, every day, every morning.
I have
before
to make
brush
my bed.
I have to.
Even if I'm
Mandatory.
running late, I say, I have to do... Because coming back
I'll be late and make my bed up. Sorry. guys.
People have talked about that, but it's very true. So maybe, and that is only for you, because I know that I'm not having a guest, but I need it.
It will mentally make me sane if I make my bed up.
Yes.
Like it would give me anxiety if I do not make my bed up every morning.
But painting is different. But anyway, so
Okay,
should I
your
do
turn.
my...
Yes. The great debate.
Okay. Would you rather...
I'm ready.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Go back to age 5 with everything you know now.
Okay.
It's not a bad one. Or win $1 billion tomorrow.
win $1 billion or be the age 5 for everything that I know now?
Yes.
I'm winning $1 billion tomorrow. I'm sorry. I mean, I know a lot. I feel like I'm wise enough to go about life differently, knowing what I know now and going through what I've been through, and just kind of handle it, you know, according to what I know, obviously, from my wisdom. But I mean, $1 billion, who's not taking $1 billion?
A lot of times, if we look at the motivation, because we've asked ourselves, God, don't you wish you knew now what you did?
You go back in time.
But it's all because it would have changed my trajectory and would have allowed me to have $1 billion.
But if I had $1 billion, I can go back to age 5 if I wanted to. Yeah. I'd create the technology to go back if I wanted to. So I'm taking $1 billion.
I agree.
Okay, nobody says.
That's a no-brainer.
Okay.
Whoever wrote that one is like, come on.
Would you rather get tipsy from one sip and ridiculously drunk from one drink, or never get drunk no matter how much alcohol you drink?
The latter. Because I presume that it means that you don't get a hangover either.
Yeah. I mean,
because how many times are we just like when we drive?
But I feel like too. I feel like this is my debate on this. I feel like people get drunk to at least feel good. I mean,
yes.
People drink to at least feel good, comfortable, whatever that may be, right? People drink to feel good. I feel like if you're drinking, it's just like, why are you drinking liquor if water does the same thing that liquor is doing for you?
It's a social lubricant.
That is true. And at that point, you get to, you're like, okay, it's a social lubricant, but you're not feeling good like everyone else is feeling.
Yeah. What was the last one? Did it say you drink no matter what? You never get drunk?
Or never get drunk.
Oh, so you never drink.
The first one is get tipsy from one sip and ridiculously drunk from one drink. So overly drunk.
Or you never feel anything?
Never feel anything when you drink.
Well, then you'd be thinking, well, what's the point of drinking? Because
that's my
a lot
point.
of the drinking
You'll just drink water.
Yeah, exactly. Because a lot of the drinking, it's acquired taste. But I think you give a drink to a dog or a cat or something, they go,
right.
And whiskey, it's like, I like whiskey, but my body's changed, and I get such bad heartburn now that I can't. And I don't get heartburn. And so one drink for me is like it. So it's self-policing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you're right. What's the point?
Yeah, what's the point of drinking if you can't feel that feeling of
the purpose of the... It's not exactly enjoyable.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, it's enjoyable, but it's not like, oh, no, it's ice cream's enjoyable.
It's not a good taste unless you're adding additives like sugar and whatever else you add in your drink. So it's like there's no point to drink alcohol.
If alcohol never got you drunk, would it ever have had the prohibition? Would it ever? It would.
It wouldn't be a thing.
It's the drug effect of it.
Exactly. Agreed. Okay, it's on you.
Pause.
Last one.
Would you rather? Okay, shit bricks or puke slugs?
What? Would I rather shit bricks or puke slugs?
Do you want another one? It's sort of like, okay, that's very abstract.
I hate, first of all, I'm puking slugs. I don't like the feeling of throwing up. I don't like the feeling of pooping either. It's just too uncomfortable, very uncomfortable TMI feelings that us as humans naturally have to endure when we go through situations.
Right.
I would rather puke slugs than just shit all the time. I mean, like, how many times am I puking slugs? Is it
what does that mean, puke slugs?
Am I like puking a whole bunch of like snails?
Slugs? I know. I don't quite know that. It's like, okay, maybe that's like a Gen Z thing. Or something.
And then shitting bricks. Like, am I shitting like actual bricks? Or like that's...
Oh, well, then you're violating the rules. You can't ask the question.
Like actual bricks? Am I shitting actual bricks?
Know.
Or is it like I'm just shitting?
I didn't write this.
I think it's actual bricks. Like, that would probably hurt.
Do you want to just do one more?
I'll do one more.
Okay. That was it. That was a shitty one. Would you rather go through life with a perpetual cold sore in your mouth?
Oh, God.
Or a booger hanging from your nose?
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, of course. Lovely.
I guess I feel like when there's a bat in the cave, no one ever tells you. So I feel like I'd rather have like the booger in my nose than a cold sore where it's just like
hanging from your nose.
I'd rather have that than look like I have herpes. Like, at least that doesn't look like I have some type of like contagious.
I wonder if you can decide where the booger is, so then you can have a strategic nose ring, like a nose ring, like this, where it looks like a big booger. Anyway, and then it's like, oh, like it's
a thing. Then you make it a thing.
Because cold sores, you know,
cold sores is not a thing.
Yeah, and it really affects. You know, it's a good. It's a reminder of how we are really affected our confidence by certain things. I remember as a kid, you know, when you have an acne spot or a whitehead or back, it does affect your confidence. It affects
110%.
Yes,
you're not going outside if you have a cold sore visible on your face. No. In your mouth, 110%. Yeah. Go out, have fun. But it's like, oh my God, I got a cold sore. Now everyone thinks I have herpes.
Yeah,
and it's just like a very like mentally triggering thing to be like, oh my God, like no one's gonna see me like I look crazy, you know, especially now that lips are like a thing.
Yeah.
So tell everyone where they could find you, what you have going on.
Well, here at the cat, I was telling Telli I've been here before.
That's always a good thing.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was a really groovy place, you know?
It's still groovy.
It's still groovy.
It's still grooving.
So I really thank you for that. No, I'm on Instagram at handle or at Dr. Is it Dr. Hayworth or Hayworth, Haworth? Honestly, I'm so bad. Is it with a dot? I can't keep these things straight. Let me see here. 2 seconds. 2 seconds here. Okay. And I'm sorry, I wanted bear with me here. Yeah, Dr. Hayworth, Haworth. That's on Instagram. That's kept up to date with an amazing social media manager. Thank you, Tatiana. And then the final thing is my website. It's just Dr. Hayworth or drhayworth.com with no dot in between.
Yes.
I'm based in Beverly Hills, and yeah, still around, live and kicking.
Love to hear it. Make sure you guys tune into everything that Dr. How do you pronounce it? Hayworth or Haworth?
Respectfully to my parents and everyone, it's Haworth, but we say Hollywood here, it's Hayworth. So I don't know. I don't give a damn.
Make sure you guys tune in.
Just respect me otherwise.
Absolutely. Make sure you guys tune in to how about this? Dr. Randall has going on, and tune into his Instagram. Make sure you follow him. And if you want anything done, go to his website and check him out. And that is it for Telli Talks.